Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome. I am your little darling narrator, and on this channel, I read stories. Not just any stories, but I think I read some really great stories for the young readers. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, I strongly recommend you go ahead and you subscribe, because all we do here are read good stories for the young readers. And if there's any story that you like, don't forget, hit that like button. That just helps this channel, and we appreciate all the support that we've been getting. So stay tuned. The name of this story is called Franklin and Harriet by Paulette Bourgeois and Brenda Clark. Franklin could count by twos and tie his shoes. He helped his little sister Harriet zip zippers and button buttons. He showed her how to play peekaboo and patty cake. He read stories and sang songs to her. Franklin loved his little sister, and he liked being a big brother most of the time. One day, Franklin took Harriet outside to play. He pushed Harriet in her swing. He held her hand as she went down the slide, but he didn't see the puddle at the bottom. "Oh no!" cried Franklin. Harriet was covered in mud. Franklin looked around. Maybe he could clean her up before his father noticed. Harriet rubbed her face, and it got muddy too. Then she started to cry. "Please don't cry," begged Franklin. He gave Harriet her blanket. He made funny faces, but nothing stopped her sobbing. Then Franklin had an idea. He pretended that his stuffed dog Sam was a puppet. Franklin barked. Harriet smiled. "Bad mud puddle," said Franklin. Harriet giggled. She reached out to Sam and gave him a hug. "Phew," said Franklin. Franklin's father laughed when he saw Harriet. "I think a bubble bath is in order." Franklin was relieved. "Sam needs one too." "2 baths coming up," said Franklin's father. Franklin helped fill the tub and stir up the bubbles. He checked to make sure the water was not too hot and not too cold. Just before bedtime, Franklin couldn't find Sam anywhere. Finally, he spotted Sam in Harriet's crib. Franklin wanted Sam back, but his mother didn't want to wake Harriet. Perhaps Harriet could sleep with Sam just this once, she suggested. Franklin didn't like that one bit, but he didn't want Harriet to cry again either. "All right," he sighed, "only for tonight." The next morning, Harriet brought Sam to breakfast. "Thanks, Harriet," said Franklin, reaching for his dog. But Harriet clung tightly to Sam. Franklin tugged on Sam's tail. Harriet tugged back. "He's mine," said Franklin. "No, mine," shouted Harriet. They pushed and pulled until something terrible happened. Sam's tail ripped right off. Franklin and Harriet started to cry. "Oh dear," said their mother. "Can you fix it?" asked Franklin. "I'll try," she answered. Franklin gave Harriet a nasty look. Franklin's mother used small, careful stitches to put Sam back together again. "Good as new," she said. Franklin put a bandage on Sam's tail and gave him a big hug. Harriet tried to hug Sam too, but Franklin held Sam up high so she couldn't reach him. "It would be nice if you shared, Sam," said Franklin's mother. Franklin didn't think it would be nice at all. He held Sam tightly and stomped off to his room. Franklin decided that being a big brother could be a big problem. Harriet cried a lot. She needed to be watched every minute. Sometimes she was stinky. And worst of all, she thought that Sam was hers. So Franklin did what any big brother would do. He put Sam in the toy box at the back of the cupboard, where Harriet couldn't find him. Later, Franklin's mother asked if he wanted to go for a walk. "Is Harriet coming?" asked Franklin. His mother nodded. Franklin sighed, but he got ready to go because he liked walks. Harriet put on her coat upside down and backward. "That looks silly," sniffed Franklin. His mother laughed and helped Harriet with her coat. On their walk, Franklin picked a bouquet of dandelions for his mother. "Thank you," she said. "They're lovely." Just then, Harriet grabbed the flowers. "No, Harriet," said Franklin. "Those aren't yours." Franklin's mother smiled. "Harriet is still little," she said. "She needs to learn how to share." Franklin's mother took some of the flowers and tucked them into her hat. Harriet put her flowers into her mouth. Franklin hoped they tasted terrible. They walked for a long time. Harriet began to rub her eyes and yawn. Then she got cranky. Franklin's mother gave Harriet her blanket, a cookie, and some milk. But nothing made Harriet happy. She started to cry. She got louder and louder. "Too bad Sam's not here," said Franklin. "He could make her stop crying." Then Franklin had an idea. He put Harriet's blanket over his hand and barked. Harriet giggled. "It's not Sam who makes Harriet happy," said Franklin's mother. "It's her big brother." "Really?" said Franklin. "Really," she answered. Franklin walked a little taller. Franklin decided that being a big brother was a good thing after all. He liked to make Harriet laugh. Sometimes he even let her play with Sam. But Franklin always made sure that Sam was back in his room by bedtime. There is only so much sharing a big brother can do. Well, that ends our story. What did you think about Franklin? Was he a good big brother? I think Franklin is a great big brother, in my opinion. Remember, he took the time to look after his sister when they were in the park. When she slid down the sliding board and landed in that puddle of mud and became a muddy mess, and then started to cry, it was Franklin to the rescue by using his favorite stuffed animal, Sam. Now, the story don't say how old Harriet is, but I get the feeling she's in her terrible twos. Now, that's the age when you want what you want, period. Now, Harriet wants Franklin's stuffed animal, Sam. Franklin is not happy about that, and his mother is not helping by asking if Harriet could just keep it overnight so she's not crying. And Franklin agreed because, well, he didn't want his sister crying. But he was not comfortable with the idea of her keeping it overnight. And it turns out he was right. It was morning. Harriet did not want to give Sam back to Franklin. That caused a major clash between Franklin and his sister. to the point that the stuffed animal was damaged in the mayhem between the brother and sister. But later on a walk with his mother and sister, he comes to realize something, and it's not the stuffed animal that makes Harriet happy. He comes to find out what makes Harriet happy is Franklin. Now, with that knowledge, it made Franklin feel proud to be Harriet's big brother. And he really, really, at that point, took being a big brother seriously, don't you think? Well, that is our takeaway from this story. Isn't it kind of cool how that takeaway just kind of comes up on you? Well, until next time, my young readers, I am your little darling narrator. Out.